and they're not doing it. That's what I had to say when I went to Washington. They gotta change what they're doing about that. I've seen the term Instagram girls
Mhm.
that are really young,
Mhm.
but they're putting up really provocative pictures.
Yeah.
The statistics are that these girls aren't on the internet an hour before some predator is engaging them
Oh
in
my
some way.
gosh. Jeez.
Obviously, they think they're talking to a 14-year-old boy,
Uh,
but in fact, it's a 38-year-old creep with a windowless van who's trying to get them off the internet into the real world where they can take advantage of them.
it's like almost like don't let your kids use social media.
Well, it's scary. I mean,
Yeah.
it's scary,
Like
particularly
I don't have kids, but
if they're
it's
putting really
scary.
provocative pictures up and they're 14 or 15 and they don't have the ability to see around corners. I think kids have the knowledge to use the internet, but not the wisdom.
Yeah. I think maybe it's a course, Maybe to be able to use an app, you have to
Yeah.
go through this like it's like sex ed. Like that's naturally going to happen. Social media is naturally going to happen with kids. So,
Well, you bring up a good point because when I went to school, we had to take shop
mhm.
where we learned how to weld. We had to take home ec where we learned how to cook and all of that. And we had to go through sex ed.
Mhm.
Maybe now there needs to be in the curriculum some kind of cyber sex education where you realize what the dangers are and how to recognize if you're being groomed in a chat room or
Yeah.
whatever. They still call them chat rooms. I don't know.
DMs is
Yeah,
like the
DMs, I
slang
guess.
for it. Direct messages.
Yeah. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. All right.
No, I think that's a great idea though. Like, it's even for I think everybody has had a moment online where they've been scammed or almost scammed. Like I've had all my accounts hacked before because I'm like, "Oh, I got an email. Oh, what's that link for?"
Yeah.
And it's like everything just gets hacked at once and you're like, "Oh my gosh." But it's even more serious when it's actual little girls getting like having these predators come after them. It's just disgusting.
I had a story recently where a girl had been talking to a guy. She totally thought he was 14 years old.
Mm,
She says, "Look, my parents, they're mean. They don't treat me right. They won't give me this. They won't give me that." And he's, of course, saying, "That's terrible. I can't believe they tell her everything she wants to hear."
mhm.
And finally, he talks her into going out the window. Just go out your window. I'll meet you down by the mall. And she does, and she gets there, and the guy's 38 years
Oh
old.
my
And
gosh.
he walks up and she goes, "Oh my God, I
Mhm.
thought you were 14." And he says, "No, I'm 38, but I'm totally in love with you. And I
Yeah.
know your parents don't love you like I." He actually talks her into staying. They leave and they're on the run for 4 months.
What?
The fact that she was found alive was astounding.
Yeah.
But the story that she tells, she wants to go home after 2 or 3 days. He won't let her. I mean,
Uh,
she just gets abducted and it goes across state lines. But even when she finds out he's not 14 years old, still, she's groomed. He
mhm.
talks her into it. We've gotta educate him in some way. Some of these pictures they put up are pretty provocative.
Yeah. But I wouldn't even blame it on the provocative
Oh,
pictures of
no.
like
It's
cuz
not that.
yeah,
Sometimes they're not even pictures. It's
yeah,
just that they're putting up.
posts that lure
Yeah,
people
they're
in
just
more
starting to
likely than
tell them what they wanna hear.
mm,
They're just saying, "Hi, yes, your parents don't love you. I love you." They
yeah.
just groom them, tell them what they wanna hear,
Yeah.
and they study. They look and see what are 14-year-olds into right now? What
Mm,
video games are they playing? What
the
music do they
language.
like? Exactly, and they
Yeah.
mimic all of that so they sound like a 14-year-old, and that's how they lure them out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it has to be education. There's really no other I don't see any other true solution to it other than just no social media. Like if it's not there, but then they're gonna find their kids. They're gonna
Yeah.
find a way to use it somehow, whether it's them at school using a friend's phone. It's like so I think education is the best weapon to give somebody.
You think parents ought to track where their kids are going on the internet?
Yeah. Yeah, if the parents I would. Especially after hearing those stories, I
Yeah.
definitely
If you
like.
had a kid, you would track where they're going?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I know privacy is a thing, and you need to give your kids like that freedom and trust them and stuff too. But it's not that you don't trust your kids. It's like you said, there's predators online that are more readily available than even in person. So letting them go to the movies is a lot safer than letting them on social media sometimes.
Oh,
So
no doubt about that.
yeah.
I think it's fortunate that you haven't had somebody creeping.
You're just really putting that out there, huh?
No, I think it's fortunate, and I think that's because you curate what you put out there.
Hmm.
You monitor it, you respond to certain people and not other people. But that's what I say, kids have the knowledge, but not the wisdom.
Yeah.
And you've got both because you've been out there a long time.